Colonel Harlan David Sanders. What more is there to say? He's the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken, the face of the brand, and he's on every bucket of greasy chicken goodness in the restaurant. The man's had quite a career, and created a chain that's enjoyed all over the globe. But how did it get to that? What exactly did the Colonel do to start his business? Today, I'm going to talk about the Colonel's humble beginnings and how he took his signature roadside chicken and turned it into an international monopoly. I'm Justin Tabor, and this is the Kentucky Fried Confessional. Sanders was born in 1890 near Henryville, Indiana. When his father passed away in 1895, his mother, Margaret Ann Sanders, began working at a tomato cannery, leaving Sanders to cook for his two siblings. Sanders moved away at the age of 12 to work on a farm and picked up other various jobs until he moved out of the area to live with his uncle at age 16. He enlisted in the U.S. military in 1906, but was honorably discharged the following year due to him lying about his age. After that, he went to live with his other uncle in Alabama. Sanders had multiple business efforts, whether that be as a fireman, a lawyer, or working on railroads, which is actually where he met his first wife and mother of his children, Josephine. After bouncing from job to job, Sanders moved back in with his mother in Indiana. He would work as a laborer for another railroad until his family moved to Jeffersonville in 1916, where Sanders attempted to sell life insurance. This venture of course flopped, and Sanders moved to Louisville, Kentucky in 1920 to run a ferry boat company along the Ohio River. For the next couple of years, he would continue to start a failed lamp business and work as a tire salesman, but everything changed once the Great Depression hit. Now, you might be asking yourself, this guy's done a million jobs all over the place, so how does he end up selling fried chicken? Well, I'll tell you. In 1930, Shell Oil Company offered Sanders one of their stations in Corbin, Kentucky that had shut down due to the Depression. From there, he would sell various dishes like country ham, steaks, and you guessed it, fried chicken. Ever since Sanders was a child, he was always known to be a good cook. Things were starting to go a little too good for the Colonel though. About a year after he bought the station, he got involved in a deadly shootout with a local competitor who had painted over a road sign for Sanders' restaurant. The man shot and killed a Shell employee in the crossfire and was later sentenced to prison. With the competition out of the way, Sanders' restaurant increased in popularity. In 1935, he was commissioned Kentucky Colonel by Governor Ruby LaFoon. Colonel Sanders went on to purchase a motel in North Carolina that sadly burned to the ground. However, he rebuilt his motel, combining it with a restaurant, and used a special pressure fryer to fry his chicken faster. He was forced to shut down the establishment in 1941 and briefly put his cooking days behind him, remarrying the manager of his hotel and working as an assistant cafeteria manager in Tennessee. First KFC was conceptualized in Kentucky, but the actual first Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant was in Salt Lake City, Utah. Sanders struck a deal with businessman Pete Harmon to build a restaurant selling his chicken in the popular city. This was a massive success, and other restaurant owners began paying Sanders to sell his chicken at their establishments. At age 65, Sanders closed down his Corbin restaurant and opened a new one in Shelbyville, Kentucky. While his wife ran the restaurant, Sanders would travel the country in an effort to franchise his own restaurant. Eventually this met with success, and KFCs were being franchised not just in the US, but also in other countries like Jamaica and China, the first fast food restaurant to do so. During this rapid expansion period, the Colonel patented his signature chicken recipe of 11 herbs and spices, as well as the phrase, "It's finger licking good." In 1964, Sanders sold the franchise for around $2 million, the equivalent of $20 million today, to future Kentucky Governor John Brown Jr. He and his wife then moved to Canada to oversee his Canadian restaurants, which he hadn't sold, and he would still make money through his franchises and his likeness fees. Sanders was the mascot of the KFC franchise, donning the iconic white suit and black clip-on bow tie for commercials and promotions, even bleaching his mustache and goatee to match his hair. Up until the late 70s, Sanders would also make surprise visits to KFC restaurants to try their food, getting into some legal trouble in 1975 after calling their gravy flavorless sludge. In June of 1980, Sanders was diagnosed with acute leukemia. He passed away 6 months later at the age of 90. His wife passed away 16 years later at the age of 96. They were both buried together at Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville. The Colonel may have been gone, but his legacy has far outlived him. By the time of Sanders' death, there were an estimated 6,000 KFC outlets in 48 countries worldwide, with $2 billion in sales annually. During his time in Canada, he used his stock holdings to support children's hospitals in the country and even reopened that Shelbyville KFC, which is still selling the original recipe to this day. Since his death, the character of Colonel Sanders has been revived and has appeared in numerous promotion materials such as a comic collaboration with DC, a character in WWE 2K18, and even an online dating simulator. The point being that Colonel Sanders will likely live on forever because of how iconic he was. The Colonel also became one of the most famous characters in Kentucky, bringing that southern hospitality feel the Commonwealth is known for to over 6,000 locations. The legendary career of Colonel Sanders had its ups and downs, but he truly did whatever it took to support himself and his family, and because of that, he's built a legacy that will continue for years. For CVM 320, I'm Justin Tabor.